name Coco from Japanese Sake Sisters. We have a passion to promote Japanese sake around the world. I'm at Nisei Restaurant in San Francisco today, and we're gonna have a very special 7-course sake pairing dinner at the Michilin star restaurant. So stay tuned. And in addition to that dinner, we have a special guest from a Japanese brewery called Takeda Shuzo, Takeda Brewery in Japan, from Niigata. And then he brought the one sake that's going to be served at dinner today, and then that's only available in the US. ニセイレストランで酒ペアリングディナー7コースです。アメリカ初登場のお酒を、皆さんに、グルメの皆さんに、楽しんでいただくんですけども、このお酒の説明をしていただけますか？
そうですね、このブラック、いわゆるブラックスカルと言いますけども、これは特別本醸造です。今日本ではですね、比較的純米酒がものすごく流行ってますけども、あえて今回特別本醸造の原酒の生をお持ちしました。これは今日本では、全然売っていません。特別なこのお酒をですね、アメリカの皆さんに味わっていただこうと思ってわざわざお持ちしました。
楽しみですね。どんな反応をするかちょっとまた見てみましょう。乾杯。This is one of my favorite sake, and then that's what Mr. Takeda was explaining at the beginning of the video. So this is only available in the US, and it's called Black Skull. Look at this label, how rare and different from the regular average Japanese label. This is Tokubetsu Honjozo Namagenshu. So Namazake Paul picked up this sake to pair with this third dish. Is this? This is kind of plum and gooseberry ponzu fennel. So I'm gonna enjoy it now. ポールさんがこれとペアリングでこの酒をこのディッシュと合わせたんですけれども、感想はどうですか？
多分これ貝ですよね、これね。
そうです、貝です。
貝だとこれポン酢でちょっと締めてるんですけども、ちょうどこの貝をうちのこの旨味がこう丸め込んでくれるんじゃないかと思うんで、取り込んで美味しく食べるんじゃないかなと思っています。
こういうペアリングって日本では珍しい
感じですね、これね。素晴らしいナイスチョイスだと思います。
All of these sakes are going to be today. All the sakes are Moroccan Namagenshu, unpasteurized, no truffle filtration, undiluted, and this is no exception. But this is different than the two that you tried previously for a couple of different reasons. This is not a junmai. So junmai means that it's got pure rice and turtles. You don't need to translate. We've done a couple of dinners this past week. He's heard my shtick. This is not a junmai. So Honjozo is the title for that. Honjozo sakes are kind of in two different directions. One direction that Honjozo can go is that they'll brew a sake and then they'll add a whole bunch of brewer's alcohol, which is a cane spirit, and then a whole bunch of water to triple the volume. And that makes a really cheap sake called basic sake. The other way that Honjozo is used is a very tiny amount right before pressing. And that tiny amount right before pressing pulls out aromas and texture. And they'll do that in competition style sakes. So they'll do that for like super high-end sakes. And this is done in that style, where he's taken the finished product and right before he presses it, he's adding a little bit of brewed alcohol in order to just make it really aromatic. What's really interesting about this as well, so this is a Tokubetsu. Tokubetsu means special. So they've extracted, they polished the local rice. The rice has been grown just 20 minutes away from this brewery, using two different local rices. Then it's polished to 60%. So you could call it ginjo, but it's not a ginjo in aroma. It's more savory in aroma. So we've chosen the word Tokubetsu. The yeast is what really gives it the savory flavor. So there's a little bit of discussion about, why does something smell this way? Why does it smell that way? mostly in sake, the smell or the aroma is going to be because of the yeast. So we have that wild yeast, which has some fruity aromas. This one is using yeast S3. You've never heard of it, because he's the only brewery that uses this yeast. It was developed by a professor that he really looks up to, and he's the only one that uses the yeast. So it's really complex. This is a fascinating sake because you can pair this with just about anything. It's got savory, kind of like cocoa notes. There's caramel. You might go back to it and get some floral notes. There is some fruitiness to it as well, but it's just going to show different things depending on what you have in there.
So next for you we have abalone from Monterey Bay. This has been tempura batter fried. Underneath you'll find an abalone liver sauce. On top is an abalone tsuyu made from jicama. We also have fiddlehead ferns. I hope you enjoy.
So this is the fourth dish. Abalone tempura and fiddlehead abalone tsuyu. And then Namazake Paul picked Afuri Foggy Day to pair with this dish. So this is the abalone tempura and the fiddlehead. I think it's in Japanese called warabi, and I haven't seen this in the United States actually. So I'm gonna taste it. It's lightly buttered, so fish's umami comes out naturally, and this a little bit creamy mustard sauce, it's very gentle, and then it marinates, it mixed within the mouth very nicely, and it's fiddle and crispy, and it must still, it's like kind of like okra, inside is kind of sticky, but very good. And I'm gonna pair with this. The Foggy Day has a little bit fizziness in it, in the sake, and that's a natural fermentation because yeast, it's namazake, so the yeast is still alive in the sake, so that causes the fizziness, and it almost tastes like sparkling sake, but it's kind of smaller bubbles in it. It's very good, and then of course pairs well with this fish always.
Polishing, which is 10% peel away, meaning that it includes the outer core of the rice, meaning that it brings out the entire rice's blood as well.
それが米による味の違いをかなり生み出すので、何種類飲んでも楽しめます。
So that actually creates distinctive the umami and the rice's umami.
あとお水が硬水だというところがお酒の特徴です。
Also another distinctive differences are their spirits water is very using hard water.
なので発酵の速度が進みやすく、それだけにミネラリティを感じられることができます。
Fermentation process accelerate because of using hard water.
それでよりミネラリティを感じるお酒になります。
So you can taste the mineral into the sake as well.
And so that all those nutrients, both from the water, so when you think about fermentation, having high mineral content is going to feed that fermentation, but then also the rice has the nutrients on the outside of it. So that could create a very fast, potentially wayward fermentation. So they ferment very cold. And the advantage of that is it traps a lot more aromatics. So that 90% polish is what you're getting there. Also, you've noticed maybe some apple notes to it, a little bit. That's from the yeast number 77, which is a new yeast, high malic acid producing. So it has 3% total acidity. Most sakes are going to be like 0.9 to 1.8 total acidity. So almost double, almost triple many sakes. Makes it great for pairing with foods. With sakes, there's, sometimes people will say this one is unfiltered or something like that. Well, that's a misnomer. All sake is filtered by law. That's part of the tax agency laws. So this one is filtered, but then they've added back in some of the leaves or the ori back into the sake to give it some texture. So that's an intentional decision. The color, you'll notice, is a little bit yellow, right? That's from the rice. And the fact that the rice isn't polished, hardly. The cloudiness is from this intentional decision to add some texture back into the sake.